Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of One Pod Life. Now, not many people can play professional golf for 10 years and also create a career for themselves outside of the game. But Miles Collins has. Miles reflects on his career as a professional golfer and how it gave him a pathway to a side career as a strength and conditioning coach. As always, Miles doesn't just share his story, but he also opens up on what he thinks every golfer should be doing to achieve their goals. Now, this was a really good chat with Miles, and we do dive in a little bit deeper into what assessments he does for professional golfers to help them perform at their best. Don't forget, if you do like this episode, to share it with your friends, share it on Instagram, get over there and follow me at One Putt Life and obviously the channel on One Pod Life. Now enjoy this episode. Hey Miles, and welcome to the One Pod Life podcast. How are you getting on, mate?
Good, how are you?
Too bad. So you're sitting in is it in the gym or is that, where is that?
No, it's just the living room. So that's why it's a bit dark. It's an old house.
No problems. How's your week been? Oh, that's only Monday, but how's it been going so far?
No, it's been all right. It's been keeping relatively busy. Young lady, my daughter's just over a year old now, so she's keeping me very busy.
I can imagine.
So doing that in between working with clients and stuff like that. So she's good fun.
Exactly, not to be horrible. We've just shipped off our 4-year-old. Well, yeah, she's almost 5 now, off to school now, so we get a little bit of time to ourselves, which is quite nice.
I think that's sort of what parents sort of live for, don't they? When you get to a certain place, it's like, oh right, when's school coming around? It's like like nephews. They're so Kate's sister and stuff, they it's like, oh, can't wait for the summer holidays to come around. Oh, sorry, for summer holidays to finish, so they ship them off to school.
Yep.
And my best friend's a deputy head teacher, and just like,
she's double.
Oh, good, going back to school.
Love it. Cool. Right, let's dive into who Miles Collins is. So, obviously, you sent me through some notes, which we're going to go through in a second. But let's give people a bit of a background as to how you got into golf leading up to when you turned pro. So give me a little background on that for me, please.
So my dad's a very keen golfer. I mean, he probably won't like me saying this, but he's 65 now, and he plays off 3.
Oh,
so, and he doesn't play that much either. So he's a good golfer. My grandma played up until she was 90. She would still be. She's 94 now. She'd still be playing if it wasn't for her hip. My great grandparents played golf, so I've grown up in and around it, but never was really that close to it. So I've got close to a golf club. So there's pictures of me swinging a plastic golf club from the age of 2. So I was hitting the ball around at home, stuff like that. I had lots of kids, and then I got my first set of golf clubs when I was 7. Sort of was able to play a little bit, not that much, go like junior lessons and things like that at the golf club.
Yep.
Mainly be in the summertime. But I didn't really get to properly start playing golf until I started secondary school.
Okay.
So the golf club was about half hour from my house. But the school bus would run past my grandma's house, and my grandma lives a 5-minute walk from the golf club. Perfect. So I'd always get off there. My dad would pick me up on his way back from work. So in the summertime, as soon as it was getting dark at about 6 o'clock, shall we say, I was getting off my grandma's and then practicing sort of until it was as long as I could, shall we say. So I did that. Never really got that good when I was young. Well, I was never that good when I was younger. I then went to a golf college for sixth form, so called the Sports Academy. Unfortunately, it's no more.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up playing Saffron Walden. The golf college was at Stoke Banane Golf Club, and that's where I was attached for many years. I did that in 2005. So I started there off 11. So, and then I left off 2, I think.
Nice.
So, yeah, not too bad. And then I spent a good few years as an amateur and turned pro in 2011.
Fantastic. And how old were you when you turned pro? So was that
20, 21, 22.
Oh, perfect. Okie dokie. So leading up to that, obviously, like I said, so with the amateur stuff, how involved did you get with that, or was that just yourself entering competitions, or did you do any like county stuff, or was it just?
It was myself entering stuff. I mean, like I played a little bit of a very small amount for Cambridgeshire, and then when I then moved from Suffolk Walden as my home club to Stoke-by-Lane, that went from Cambridgeshire to Essex.
Okay.
So it was around. So Stoke-by-Lane at the time was in Suffolk. They then in 2009 switched to being in Essex because they're right on the border. So Essex had so many sort of tournaments. Cambridgeshire had nothing. So it's like, well, there's 7 or 8 tournaments here which I can enter if I make this my home club. So that's what I did. And then tried to play some national things that I could get in, and just played everywhere I could, to be honest.
Okay. Well, would you say that gave you enough of, obviously it probably did, but give you enough of a platform to be able to have the confidence to turn pro? Because the reason I ask that is because obviously a lot of golfers that we speak to, I speak to, they all go, well, I played county for 4 years. I did this. I played amateur tournaments for this for 5 years, and then they turned pro. But obviously yours is a very short transition from a 2 handicap to turning pro. So I was wondered, yeah, obviously, yes, if you give your reasoning and your thought process behind turning pro on that.
So I was, I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he basically said to me, if you're looking at turning pro, sort of do it now. In regards to, he said he learned so much more when he turned pro than staying amateur. I think if you're someone who is, saying the England squad, board of the England squad, shall we say, or Walker Cup team, stuff like that, that's great. Stay amateur, do that.
Yep.
But you learn a lot when you turn pro. So for me, it was very much, to be honest, I had like those people doubting that I should have turned pro when I did. Mm-hmm. And going on how I played my first year, you could probably say they were right.
Yeah, we'll get on to that in a sec.
But I learned a lot.
Yeah.
So it was an expensive learning curve, but it was a learning curve that was needed.
Yes. Okay. So let's move into that first year then. Yeah. So that first year, so when you turned pro, what did you go to Q school, or what did you do?
So I went to Euro Pro Q school. First stage was at Stoke-by-Lane, which was quite handy.
Yep.
So I did that. I stayed amateur for the first stage because I wanted to sort of see what happened. And then when I got to the final stage, I was like, right, okay, I'm going to turn pro here because I guaranteed at least some events.
Yep.
Because I think then 2011. I think even if you missed the cut by quite a few, you still got quite a few events. So it was still worth it.
Okay, good.
So I did that, got full card on Euro Pro, and then went from there.
Okay, so that first year on Euro Pro, let's talk about it. Because you alluded to it a minute ago. You sent me notes. It said, missed every cut the first year of Euro Pro.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's try and break that down. So how many tournaments did you play in 2011, 12?
On the Euro Pro I played, was it 13, 14? Between 13 and 15. I can't remember exactly how many. It was enough.
I'd say right now it's 12.
Yeah, exactly. We'll tell that as 12.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what was it you said you learned a lot in that first year. So what, if you could break it down into the top 3 things that you realized in that first year, unfortunately missing every cut, that you could then took that into the next season, what would those 3 things be? And then how did you overcome it to actually make progress?
So a couple of things. So one of them, I need to really understand my golf swing and be able to fix it on the go.
Okay.
So my long-term coach at the time would go and I was sort of, should we say, I was quite coach dependent. It's very much, okay, well, I'd sort of have checkups almost each week because that's what I was used to from the golf college. And I'd be like, okay, well, you're here. Okay, we'll just change this little thing and away we go. But I didn't know how to fix it.
Okay.
So one was trying to take control of my golf swing and get myself technically better so I can hit the shots that I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
then, so that was the main thing for me. I then tried to be a bit more professional about, as in I looked at other areas. So that's when I sort of started looking at sort of down the training side of things, trying to get my body in a better shape to be able to perform better.
Yep.
So those were sort of the two main things. I think, what was the third one? The third one, get equipment that was right for me.
Okay.
Because I was very much, I had some things, I sort of played what I liked, but it wasn't right for me. It wasn't efficient. So that was the third thing that I then had to sort out.
You went on, obviously, to have a quite a long career on the Europro. Obviously, you've written down here like 10 years plus as a pro, and we'll come on to why you're still a pro now, but obviously not doing as much as you used to, but we'll come to that in a second. But you had some good results out there. You came second on a Euro Pro Princes in 2014. And then obviously you came tied third at Harleyford as well in 2018. So obviously you having those two results, you had a couple of thirds in there, I think I saw as well. But the second one at Princes, like what obviously that was the pinnacle of your game, shall we say. What on that day, what went right for you? And leading up to that, had all those changes that you talked about come into effect?
So leading up to that event, I played some of the work. I couldn't hit the planet. I felt dreadful. Like, I had no idea where the ball was going. I remember sort of a few tournaments previous, I was just like pulling my hair out. It's like, I cannot play golf right now. I just feel, it just feels terrible. There was then a turning point, and I even remember the turning point now. I mean, I have to talk you through it, but you can if you want. But yeah, there was a turning point. There's like literally one shot in particular. And it's like, went on from there for the rest of that tournament. And then I think it was literally the week after then Princes.
Yep.
And playing round Princes, like, I didn't do anything special, but that was the whole point. I think each round got one shot better.
Yep.
It was pretty challenging. And back then I was very good at hitting this one particular shot, which basically was a knuckleball. The wind didn't touch it. Around Princes and windy, it's just all right. I'm going to play for the sensible side, and I'm literally going to hit that shot and hit it there.
Yeah.
And it worked. And yeah, I'm generally a pretty decent putter. The big issue that I had in my playing days was off the tee.
Yep.
So I was able, because it also links, it was relatively firm, I would just be hitting something that's going to get moving forward. Pull out driver when I feel as though there's less trouble around, or I can fly trouble or whatever. And I was just very strategic and didn't do much wrong.
It's fantastic.
But I played within myself. So, but the course demanded it.
Yep. Okay. So is that a good characteristic to have then if you're in a round of golf? Like you just said, you played within yourself and you didn't go lights out, but you did what you needed to do to get the golf ball round. Yeah,
exactly. So, you've got to be predictable. If you look at Scott Fawcett and what he does with Decade, it's like, I haven't done his full system, but it's like, well, you have something that you do consistently and play within yourself. Don't take anything silly on, and winning requires luck.
Yes, it does. Hopefully I'll get some tomorrow, but we'll find out.
Yeah, let's touch wood.
You mentioned here as well that you reached out to a trainer to get some help. Being the change, and you also wrote down that you had some quality training, which made some big changes, and you increased 20 miles an hour in ball speed, or is that
clubhead speed?
Would you say that was the turning point for you to? Oh my God! Pardon me. We'll start that one again. Would you say that was the sort of the start of you moving a little bit away from golf and more into sort of strength and conditioning coaching? You opened your eyes a little bit, or did it come after that?
It came sort of more when I then switched to my last S&C coach, who I was working at his gym for a while, a guy called Will Wayland at Powering Through. So I was working with him since 2016. don't get me wrong, those are after sort of the Prince's event, shall we say. But that's where I saw noticeable improvements in clubhead speed and performance and what training can really do for your game.
Yep.
From that side of things, we all sort of know, like Bryson's proven how big of an impact distance can have on lowering your scores. And it's like, when I first turned pro, my clubhead speed was probably about 106 to 108.
Okay.
I could probably max out around about 110, 111.
Yeah.
2019, I got up to 134.
Wow. That's a big
and I didn't do any speed training whatsoever. That was purely through consistent training and working on things that transfer to being able to swing the golf club pass and performance.
Yep.
So I never went down doing any speed swings, anything like that. I would probably have, like if I was practicing, I would always practice with a 6 and 7 iron, and I would only hit those, and I'd probably hit driver once or twice a week on the range because I didn't want to hit the rubbish range balls and break my driver.
Yep.
So you can sort of see I didn't really spend much time on hitting driver, but I was able to gain quite a lot from just general training.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Because I'm personally very anti-speed training. Mainly, well, I think I can swing. I did a little test the other day actually with speed sticks, but I think my average is roughly 115. If I really push it, I can get it up to about 120. But I've got no idea. I've got no idea where the ball's going if I do that. So 115 it is for me. But no, I'm and obviously as you saw, I've just started working with a fitness coach as well, and we're just working on body movements, and that's mainly what my coach works me with. We very rarely hit golf balls in lessons. It's more about body movements to generate the power. So I can advocate kind of what you're saying there. I quite like that.
Yeah. So when it comes to like a little bit about sort of increasing like clubhead speed, it's all about how much force you can put into the floor. Like there are technical things you can do sort of with levers and all these types of things, but the more force you can put into the floor and the more force you can generate, the more force that comes up into you and you transfer into the club. So from that side of things, it's just like, well, if you can increase or bring your floor up, it's like, well, if you were here, like your clubhead speed, say 110, your max 115, you bring that floor up, your normal swing can be 115 and max 120, for example, through different training means.
Oh, okay. Let's just circle back a little bit to the coming towards sort of the end of 2019, 18-ish, where you're, I guess, I don't want to say you've given up golf, being a professional golfer, because I don't think you have, but you've kind of wound it down a little bit and started focusing more on becoming a strength and conditioning coach. What was that how did that transition come about?
So mainly like 2019 was sort of the kickstarting point. It was very much a case of I wasn't performing as I should do, as I'm capable of doing, and that was beating me up. Okay. So it was more of a mental aspect. Like I was very much, and it's one of the things I'm trying to get out of and why I've actually had a decent, like I was not going to play in 2020 and then COVID came along, so it didn't really matter. No. But I was gonna stop that, but I put a lot of focus on a lot of my confidence in what my swing looked like on camera, and then that would help me play well. Right. Okay. So, and I'm still a bit like that. So it got so much that way where I would tie myself up in knots. My phone would be full of swings. I'd be like, and literally it would just be full. It's like, well, I've literally hit about 20 balls, done however many videos, and I've been here 2 hours and I've not really got anywhere. So it was almost like that downward spiral, things not looking how I want, not performing how I want, and then going, do I really want to do this anymore? This is beating me up. I'm spending a load of money.
Yep.
So hence why I took a step back. But I love the game, so I want to be in and around it. So hence why I took the direction that I've taken.
Okay. So talk me why strength and coaching and conditioning?
So two reasons. One, my coach at the time, like I want to learn off people who I like to learn off the best, really. Like, so I was my coach, I used to work with Matt Belsham, like technical knowledge, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he already had an assistant. So it's like, well, I can't really study under him, but so that's going to be a tricky one. So that sort of gets that one out of the way. My home club, they had 5 pros in 2019.
Okay.
Like, well, I'm going into a saturated market if I'm going to join there.
Yep.
So, but also I really enjoyed the training. I know what effect it has had on my game and has on other people's games.
Yep.
And it's like, well, how do I get fulfillment out of what I do, and how can I provide value to players? And I think personally, there is a lot of rubbish out there when it comes to training ideas around golf. And it's very, like, for one in particular, like, I'm not a massive fan. I dislike Bosu balls, for instance, just like standing on Swiss balls or like, and things like that, because they're not transferable.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, you're playing on a solid surface. If you're playing on a Bosu ball, then fine. All it's doing is it's limiting your ability to produce force.
Yep.
We're not on a movable surface, so why do we need that? So it's how I saw I could provide as much, like, more value to players. And also being something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I enjoy training. I enjoy playing golf and being around the golf scene. So yeah.
No, good. And obviously, like you said, you've got that massive 10-year experience of playing the game as well. So, and obviously, towards the later part of your years, you were doing the training yourself as well with coaches and stuff. So you can physically, literally give your own personal experiences. And if anyone questions it, you say, "Well, I did this and this happened," and you can. That way, people, you almost got your own resume, and people will actually go, "Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. I can go and listen to Miles and understand exactly what I'm supposed to be doing."
Yeah, that's sort of one of the things I wanted to bring to it. And like everyone goes through things differently. Like guys that I work with, they'll have niggles and things like that. To be like, okay, mate, that's fine. We'll adjust. We can do things. I know what you're going through. So we can then play around with things. Like, right, yeah, I know your situation. We're going to do this to address that situation. Or people, like, a big one is people training in and around tournaments. Mm-hmm. I've had people go, "Oh, no, I don't like training around tournaments. I feel stiff." But I get my clients around tournaments. I get them lifting heavy once a week and then taper it off so it's lighter, and they feel fine and they feel better as well. And actually, over the course of a season, that then the work they've done in the winter hasn't disappeared because they've still been training 2 or 3 times a week all the way through the season.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. So what would you say is your sort of philosophy then when it comes to combining your two loves together and if you was to help someone new come into your arena, what would you say to them to get him started?
In regards to, as in playing professional, or
well, if I was to come to Miles Collins now as the strength and conditioning coach, and I said to you, right, I'm a golfer and I want to get the best out of my game, where would you start to look at to see? Would you like? Is there an assessment, or would you be asking questions? How would that session start?
I would get an idea of what one. Always start off any injuries, anything I need to know about from that side of things, and just a history of your golf, what you struggle with, where you are now, what you're working on with current coaches, for instance. And then generally speaking, I then go through, if I'm working with someone, if I'm doing something in person, we'll generally go through like a profiling session. So I get metrics like mid-thigh, isometric mid-thigh pull. So that's how much force you can generate, counter movement jumps, how much of that force you can access essentially. And then also see how you move. I wouldn't necessarily do movement screens, but you can get a really good idea of how someone moves from doing things like squats and just seeing how they move, and also parts of the warm-up. So parts of the warm-up that I do, you can see how well people can move, where they're quite stiff in their hips, for instance, and all those different types of things. So I won't necessarily do movement screens, but I can get an idea of how you move, even though you don't realize I'm doing it.
Okay, that's good.
And then from there, I would then see your current strength levels, see areas that we need to improve. Some of the things from the testing side of things would then tell us what you're deficient in. So, for instance, it's called a DSI score, dynamic strength index. So basically, it will tell us if you need more strength or ballistic or speed, should we say.
Okay.
And that will dictate the training focus. And then also, I've been lucky that one of the physios at my old golf club, he's now the head S&C coach for the European Tour. So I've spent a bit of time with him. I was lucky enough to do some work on the European Tour last year in a slightly different role, but in the unit.
Yep.
And my S&C coach, Will, he's an S&C coach for the European Tour. So I've also been able to have access to the profiling data that they gathered in some studies back in 2018.
Nice.
2019. So I can then compare your results to then, right, okay, because at the end of the day, when it comes to impact on performance, like flexibility and things like that, good, but we can't guarantee that a certain exercise is going to transfer to technical. So where can we improve? We can improve or reduce our risk of injury by making you better at absorbing force, then producing force. So then you're able to play more because you're less injured. You're then able to and you're able to swing faster and hit the ball further. Those are two major impacts. And then we can have a look at some of the other stuff and play around with that. But the two main things are making you more robust and making you swing faster. So that's where all the assessments then lead into.
Now, One Pod Life is brought to you in partnership with Energy Golf, the leading golf development platform. They are committed to providing a service that allows you to reach your maximum potential by improving your mindset, creating physical longevity, and funding your golf career. What they've done is take professional tour team experience and brought it to you through their platform so you can have your very own tour team in your pocket. Energy Golf offers the ability to learn from leading professionals in the fields of fitness, nutrition, breathing, caddying, psychology, business, as well as proven tour winners and many more. There are also courses based around the mental aspects of golf, such as mental toughness, emotional control, and self-esteem. Visit energy.com to learn more, and to claim your exclusive 1-month free trial, simply send an email with the subject OnePodLife to info@energy.com and enjoy. Now let's get back to the podcast. The 10 years you've had on tour, gathering all this information, knowledge, skill sets, and then obviously now you're transferring it into something that I can hear already from your voice that you're clearly passionate about and really love, which is great. Now, the reason obviously I'll start again. Keep stuttering today. The reason I started the podcast obviously is to get people like yourself on board with knowledge and experience of playing the game at pro level, and obviously you've come with an added extra with the S&C stuff, which is fantastic. So what I want to move into now is the last part of the podcast, before we run out of time on Zoom, is if you could give 3 bits of advice for all your years of playing, and you can bring some S&C into this as well if you wanted to, and you've got myself, someone like me who wants to become a professional golfer and play pro golf, what are the 3 things that you think any aspiring amateur should be doing now to get those gains to go forward and be successful?
So if we start off from the golfing side of things, I was given a very good piece of advice. I caddied in a seniors tour event that was at Stoke-by-Leyland. And I caddied for this guy. And he said to me, and this is back in 2013, something like that. He said, golf is driving and putting. As long as you're not losing shots off the tee, you can be in the middle of the fairway, you can miss the green, but if you then pretty much hole every putt, you still shoot level par. But if you're losing shots off the tee and you're not holding putts, then yeah. I didn't realise that until I stopped playing, really, or stopped playing that much. But yeah, so 1, off the tee is a big one. 2, I would then say pace putting. Like for general, general average golfers, like pace putting is massive. If you can avoid 3 putting, that's huge, and also it makes it stress free.
Yeah.
If you're worrying about a 3-4 footer coming back, then it's probably going to affect you on the next one as well. You're probably going to miss a couple.
I love a good 3 to 4 foot putt.
Even I struggled with them in my last year as a pro. I struggled. I was getting terrible with tap-ins. But yeah, so being good off the tee, putting, distance control. And then I would say, I guess I got to get a training one in there.
Yeah, of course.
Just going, if you're going to train, so a bit of advice for people who just want to generally train, there are sort of 5 movement patterns you want to work. You want to do squat or some form of squat, a push, so like a bench press, overhead press, pull, so also that's like a row, a pull up, something like that. A hinge, that's an RDL, a deadlift, something like that. And then you could say like a bracing exercise. So I like farmer's carries, you've got planks, you've got pull-off presses, things like that. But you're working sort of the general movement patterns. You get stronger at those, you're going to feel better, and you're more than likely going to hit the ball further.
Yeah, fantastic. I think we could obviously talk a lot more about the S&C stuff, but obviously we can go into a lot of detail, which we could probably be here for 3-4 hours, I think, on that side of things. So just so people can, if they want to, if they want to learn more about what it is you guys do, and especially with the first part you said about the whole training and the sort of assessment when they first come to see you, where's best to find you, website and sort of Instagram sort of handles and stuff?
I don't have a website as of yet, so I just use my Instagram. So literally Miles Collins Golf, simple as that.
Okay.
Anyone wants to chat, message me on there and jump on a call. I'm always happy to jump on and chat to people.
Fantastic. So you still at Stoke-by-Leyland?
No, so I since I haven't really been playing, and Stoke-by-Leyland is 45 minutes from my house.
Oh, okay.
So I was there because I got membership and range balls and things like that. So unfortunately I haven't been there that often, so my memberships have run out.
I'm not a member anywhere with myself, so don't worry about it. You don't need to be a member. Let's go play golf.
Yeah, you don't need to these days, do you?
No.
That much.
No, fantastic. Well, Miles, thanks for your time and coming on and giving us a brief insight into your playing career and also now moving into your coaching career. I hope people can take a little bit of value from this, and like you said, if you guys are interested in finding out more about what Miles can do, go over to his Instagram and find out and give him a little message.
Thanks very much for your time, mate. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Cheers.